You know what I want to do? Let me check something real quick. You know what I want to do? I haven't been watching anyone's Spence Crawford videos lately. And I want to see what the hell's going on. There's a lot of people that you can understand, you know, don't want the fight to happen. Let's see here. What's going on? What's going on this week? What are the storylines? This is the interview where basically Steven Espinoza, Showtime, saying that it's going to happen.
Let me ask you a couple of things. I know you got to get going.
I think one of the most positive things is no one's talking about it publicly. I know, you know, that's bad news for you, because I say something that, you know, irritates one side or get impasse. And I think there are points where things are moving more quickly, and then points where, you know, things are so.
I already watched that interview already. I'm gonna put the link right here for you. Actually, let me do it right here for Fight Hype. Yeah. Basically, they're still in talks, and Steven Espinoza feels that they're gonna, you know, like they're gonna get something done. But what's the storylines for the week? There's been a lot of fake shit going on around for the last several months of people saying, "Yo, it's gonna happen." You know, this person, Crawford, wants this and he's killing the deal. Did you notice most of the blame seems to be on Crawford for not bowing down. Seems to be Crawford not bowing down. But this is something that everyone's talking about every day. And it's like, for me, don't get me wrong, it's a lucrative business. I've talked about it before. But for me personally, I would be so tired talking about Spence Crawford every day. I can't do it, ladies and gentlemen. Unless something relevant happens, but it's always some little trickle. And every time Steven Espinoza does some type of interview, you know, people are going to be like, I just can't do it. I did it. Let me tell you something. I did it during the whole Mayweather-Pacquiao thing, when I was doing every little bit of news, you know, doing a video, you know, getting up out of my sleep. Oh, this happened. Let me get up here. You know, but now it's just like, geez, you know? And one thing Steven Espinoza did say is nobody's talking about it publicly. You know, Terrence Crawford and, you know, Errol Spence, they're deep in negotiations, but nothing's really coming out unless it's coming from the fighters or unless it's coming from Espinoza. So everything else is all opinions, but then you got motherfuckers acting like they know what's going on and that they, you know, like hearing this and that. And it's rightful on Twitter. Ray, you know, like people just be just making up anything. You know, oh yeah, it's going to be announced on this day. And the only hang up is Terrence Crawford wants to come out first. And it's just, you know, but I'm still sticking to my guns though. Before the Ugas fight, I had Crawford as the favorite. Now I'm kind of like 50-50. You know, like Errol Spence, like that dude is special. Both of these fighters are special. But I got to be honest, though. If I was giving a slight edge to somebody, Terrence Crawford, because no matter what, dude figures you out. And he's got that dog in him. You know, he seems like, you know, like for him, for Errol Spence, it seems like a fight that, damn, if he loses, people are going to be like, damn, he lost. Damn, we always knew he probably was going to lose to that dude. It's probably why he ain't fighting for so long. But with Crawford, it really seemed like, let me tell you, it really seemed like it's his life mission to go out there and beat that dude. But with both of these fighters, even though Spence has had overall the better competition, in my opinion, still, he ain't never seen nobody like Terrence Crawford. You know, Sean Porter wasn't no Terrence Crawford. And we saw what happened to him. You know, Kell Brook, both of them, you know, beat him up. But when Crawford, is safe to say, when Crawford got him, you know, he was pretty much done and damaged goods and shouldn't have been at 147 pounds. That's just a fact. But overall, though, man, I'm just hoping that they get the shit done. It's not looking like October no more. It's looking like it's probably going to be in November. You know, but in October, you got Keith Thurman wanting to return. We talked about that yesterday. And if he returns, it's probably going to be on pay-per-view. They're looking at a potential fight between him and Erislandy Lara. Well, that was hinted at. And then it's the rumors and the bullshit of, you know, which fans don't know. Nobody knows. They're just making shit up. Is that, you know, PBC wants Terrence Crawford to fight Keith Thurman first before he gets Errol Spence. I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know how something like that would get out. Unless it's something from one of the camps and it trickled out. That shit can happen. It'll take one little person that heard something that's in the camp, because it happened to me once, where you get like a piece of credible news and then it starts going through like all these different people, and then like, yeah, I don't know. It can happen, you know, where little stuff like that can get out, you know, where somebody might have been in the gym and they overheard something, you know, and, you know, they go tell their homie, and then their homie tell their homie, and it start, you know, like getting out like that. But I do feel confident that no matter what, the fight is going to happen. Boxing ain't crowning another black undisputed this year. Please understand this. How? They're both black. This would be one of the biggest fights with two African Americans headlining a pay-per-view in boxing since when? I'm talking about headlining a big-time pay-per-view in boxing since when? Off the top of my head, Mayweather Mosley. Like, what? Big time. Mayweather Mosley. I'm trying to think. When? I can't remember. I think it's going to happen. You know, I just think that they're trying to figure out, you know, there's a lot to figure out, especially with, you know, the split. There's no understating that Errol Spence has had the opportunity to become a bigger boxer because of the side of the street that he's been on with PBC. You know, I've talked about this years ago that I felt that PBC was going to freeze him out and, you know, build Spence up. So therefore, you know, Spence could be the bigger name and be the bigger draw when they fight. Because think about it. Terrence Crawford, even though he was making damn good money to be on regular TV or regular ESPN when he was with Top Rank, still all the main guys that he really needed to really become like a star were over on PBC. And it's not like Spence and Crawford are both two big trash talkers that can sell fights, or let's be honest, the most charismatic of dudes. But you got to look at it from PBC side, and they talked about it. You know, De La Hoya wasn't a black man. Get out of here, Eliza. Like, you guys are crazy. I was thinking, I didn't want to go back as far as Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. No, I was talking about like recent, you know, like in recent memory. Like, you know, I didn't want to go back as far as that far. But pay-per-view, yeah, you got, you know, Tyson Lewis, Mayweather Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor. Two African-American fighters headlining a pay-per-view. I'm talking about big one that did at least, let's say, 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Wait a minute. Was Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor wasn't pay-per-view, was it? It was pay-per-view. I don't think I watched it on pay-per-view. I had the chip box. I ain't gonna lie, I watched that shit on the chip box. If it wasn't on HBO, I definitely watched it on the chip box. Oh, y'all just saying anything. Mayweather Judah. But anyway, you get the point I'm trying to make. This is going to be a big-time fight between two African-American fighters. And I think that this fight has the potential to exceed expectations. For example, I believe that this fight can do 600,000 pay-per-view buys. I think it can. I think because of both sides, they can bring the people together on this because, you know, these guys have been fighting for so long. And with Crawford being on that big platform, ESPN, casual fans do know who he is. They know who he is. They may not follow him, but they know who he is. Lennox Lewis is not American. You're right. My bad. but they know who he is. So they'll probably refer to him, oh, the dark-skinned fighter, or the black fighter that fight on ESPN. Oh, Errol Spence, the Texas dude that fight on Fox. So them coming together, I think, you know, if people see them on a poster and a promoter, they'll be like, oh shit, they've been calling each other out for years. I think there'll be enough, it'll be enough casual fare there for these guys to like really, really, you know, do some solid numbers. Just my opinion. But fans are getting restless, but at the same time, as long as the fight happened, I don't give a fuck. Me personally, I didn't really expect for the fight to happen till about, you know, October, November anyway. So if it is going to happen, you know, maybe we'll hear something soon. You know, obviously there's got to be some type of deadline where if both fighters are like, listen, if we can't get something done by this date, you know, then we got to move on. And Showtime, who's clearly now going to be the broadcaster, we know that for sure, because Steven Espinosa, you know, and Showtime they've been slowly pumping it, and they've been pumping out content. They even did a featurette with Terrence Crawford not long ago. Here, for example, let me show you on their page. I didn't get a chance to even listen to most of it already. I think I listened to some of it, but not all of it. So they're working on something. You know, and then a venue's got to be, you know, finalized. Of course, they want to make sure they get the most of a site fee. You know, playing a press tour. I expect they're probably going to do a press tour, maybe a press conference in New York, maybe one in LA. Where's it at? Did I miss it? Here it is right here. No, that's Derek James talking about the fight. Where's the one with Crawford? Did I miss it? I'm tripping. Here we are.
Oh, he did great. You know, I thought he made the adjustments that he had to make to get the job done, and he won in tremendous fashion, and congratulations to him.
Tell me if you agree with this assessment, that you guys are obviously both elite fighters. He seems more like a guy who comes in with his plan A, and that's his plan, and that's the way he fights, whereas you are more versatile and can shift plans and make adjustments. Would you say that that's accurate?
Well, I think he make adjustments as well. You know, when one thing don't work, he, you know, adjusts and make, you know, matters into his own, take matters into his own hands and make the right moves at the right. Be myself up there, you know, getting.
I'll put the link in the chat for those who didn't see it. Copy video URL. But this was released on Showtime, as you can see, July the 19th, 10 days ago. So, I mean, look, he's already doing soft promo for the fight. You see what I'm saying? So something's definitely in the cooking, because why have they been? Remember, before when he was with Top Rank, Showtime and Fox, they wasn't mentioning his name. When they would even show the rankings, you know, of the fighters, he was nowhere to be found. They were acting like the WBO belt didn't even exist.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame, so, you know, this my before, you know, I never intended to fight Shawn Porter, being that we are good friends. I intended to fight all the other welterweights, you know, so I really don't, you know, get any, like, uppity feelings over beating a friend in Shawn Porter like that.
It was just business.
Yeah, it was just business.
I gotta say, I've been fortunate enough to be ringside a lot of fights around the world. I'm not sure I was ever at a better atmosphere than.
Boxing fan, they'll say Terrence Crawford #1. You know, in a way, he's looked good in his fights. Canelo looked good in his fights, except this last one. We all look good in our fights, you know, but, for them to not give me my just due, you know, they put a little fire on the flame for this next fight, you know, me to prove and show the world that I'm really number one when I say I'm number one.
Now I feel bad. I accused you unintentionally of having a big ego if you say you're number one, but I guess you're okay with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a big ego. I would just say it's confident, you know, and I feel like everything that I've done, you know, thus far have shown that, you know, stopping everybody in the welterweight division, never having a close fight, you know, dominating every opponent that I ever faced. You know, I think that's, you know, showing that I'm number one, you know, moving up weight divisions and conquering them one after another. You know, I feel like that, you know, go hand in hand with being number one pound for pound fighter in the world, you know, not just fighting in 1 or 2 weight classes and, you know, getting a win. You know, it's dominating from one division to another division to another division.
Right. So before we let you go then, do you have a parting message for Errol Spence as he considers stepping in the ring with the pound-for-pound number one?
No, not really. You know, he know what they expect. I know what they expect, and you know, and that's gonna make for a great, exciting fight for the fans and yourself.
Great. Well, we're really looking forward to it.
Let me see if he said anything at the beginning. It's a 12-minute interview. I put the link right there up in the chat for those who want to watch it.
Well, Boots is a tremendous, talented guy, you know. Adjust and make, you know, matters into his own, take matters into his own hands.
Well, Terrence Crawford's never been good on a microphone. He's one of the type of guys like Tank Davis. Like, if he's fired up, then you hear him, like, you know, like really, really talk. But when he tries to do the whole media thing, it's not for him. It never really been for him, you know. But he's the type of guy that, you know, when he's talking genuinely, you know, put it this way, it's almost like he's trying too hard. You know, you can clearly see he don't really like doing it. You know, he's the type of guy that, like, you know, talking to his homies and things like that.
And make the right moves at the right time to get the job done, like myself. You know, I feel like, you know, you got 2 great fighters in their prime, you know, fighting for all the marbles. It's going to be an exciting fight, and I just can't wait for it to happen.
I want to ask you also about up-and-coming guy who fights on Showtime a lot, Jerome Boots Ennis, in your weight division. What do you think about Boots, and what's the prospect of maybe down the line meeting him at some point?
Well, Boots is a tremendous, talented guy. You know, I've been watching him in the amateurs. You know, like I was watching Errol Spence. Very talented, go both ways, very strong. You know, knows boxing. He's going to be a force to reckon with. And me and him later down the line, you know, if that, you know, come on my table and it's a right fight for me, you know, I'm taking it all. I'm taking it all.
You say down the line, if you were in charge of Boots' career, is he ready for the best yet, or would you take?
But the guys that he have fought to get him to this point right now, one day it'll be myself up there. You know, this is a big moment for these fighters to be.
The legacy fight, the defining fight for you. Up to this point in your career, if someone has never seen Bud Crawford fight and you wanted to point them to...
Yeah, that's pretty much the meat of the interview. But, you know, like I said, they wouldn't be giving him this time. They wouldn't be giving him this time on their channel, you know, and on their brand. And they've been saying his name a lot, you know, on Showtime platforms. Even this interview right here that they did in there on that last broadcast, where
the guys that
I mean, not this one, hold on, where's it at, with Derek James
joins me,
was talking about it. You know, if you didn't see this, he pretty much, like, they're just waiting for it to happen.
Frank looks like he's got the goods here. What are you doing with these fighters that set you apart? I think everybody in the world wants to see that fight. It seems like everybody in the world has already debated what the result is going to be. Are you just as anxious to finally get that fight on?
Listen, I'm just as anxious. I can't wait. And this is the thing about it. I always want what my guys want. If my guy wants that, I want that for him. And that's all I have to say because I cannot wait. I'm training for it already. I've been working out for it already. We're going to push it. He's going to have to bring it because I'm telling you, he's going to have to be able to push it to the next level because that's what we're going to be.
You already working out, huh?
Hey, I've been working out, man. I worked out this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, it's on. I'm ready to go.
He's the
So, and basically, we're hearing that the fighters are in camp. So you would think that maybe Showtime would announce it. You think Showtime would announce? You think, given what we know about boxing, that maybe if it's announced, Showtime probably wants it announced next week, because they have a pay-per-view with Jake Paul, and Hasim Rahman. And normally, when they like to sell their fights, they like to promote it on one of their pay-per-views, on one of their big events. You think it's coming next week? And then maybe beginning of August or so, first couple of weeks of August or the second, third week of August, they do a press tour, go off into camp, fight happen in October or so. Because right now, I don't think that Showtime and PBC fighters and Al Heyman is going to move forward with scheduling any more big fights for their fighters until they get this one done. Fights like Deontay Wilder's return, the return of Keith Thurman, the return of Tank Davis. I think they're really trying to really get this done and then going to build up their schedule around this fight. I don't want to see no fucking interim fight. And remember, Terrence Crawford already went on the record to say that he doesn't want an interim fight, that he'll sit out and wait, as long as it takes to get this fight done. He said that pretty much. Not in the same words, obviously, but he said he didn't want any interim fights. No tune-ups, no nothing. He wants to go straight into it. He wants this fight. But people are going to say, if he wanted it, he's going to take whatever Spence and all them, and his team have to offer. Remember, people were on that shit with Pacquiao saying he should take that flat, what was it, $40 million for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight? Can you imagine? Boy, he would have been a dickhead, right? If he would have took just a flat $40 million and let Floyd take the whole, whatever the pot was going to be after that. I remember how when Errol Spence saying that, Terrence Crawford should take an 80-20 split, but then later on, just not even a month, two ago, said, oh, man, I just was joking. But yet fans and Errol Spence fans were really running with it. He should take that, he generate this and that. That's not the way to negotiate. But, hey, I don't really like talking about fighters' money, but we do know that something definitely, we know that they're negotiating. And they have to get this shit done because fans are fed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up out of here. Go take a nice long walk with my dog. Try to figure out what I'm going to have for dinner. I think it's a steak night. I'm going to be here tomorrow covering the Danny Garcia, Jose Benavidez card. I'm going to do individual videos on Sergiy Derevyanchenko's return, Gary Antuanne Russell versus Rances Barthelemy, Adam Kownacki's return. He weighed in at 241 pounds, by the way. Adam Kownacki versus Ali Demirezen. And then, of course, I'm going to be streaming during the main event of Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez. Then I'm going to cover some UFC and their pay-per-views. Don't get me started with them motherfuckers. I'm going to cover some UFC. Then I'm going to do a post-fight show on Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez. And then next week, we got two big cards to cover with the Virgil Ortiz return. Hopefully he makes weight against Michael McKinson, Blair Cobbs taking on Maurice Hooker. And then the pay-per-view between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman, which we talked about earlier. Yeah, I'm a mid-rare guy. Of course I'm a medium-rare steak guy. Of course. Oh, don't disrespect me, man. I'm a steak connoisseur. I'm a steak guy. My podcast is going to be premiering on Tuesdays, starting the second week of August. So I'm finalizing everything here. I'll show you my art. Thank you for asking. So I'm finalizing everything now. By the way, I got an interview coming that Big J did with Shannon O'Connell, who was ordered by the IBF to fight Ebony Bridges. So yeah, that's future. That's not my podcast. I opened up the wrong thing. Hold on, let me show you before we go. By the way, take time and like the video, subscribe. Also, links to the WBC app powered by the Vive Network, where you can find my videos and other content creators' videos down below. But yeah, my podcast is coming. I'm very excited. And my podcast is going to be independent, different, a whole different show than my YouTube videos. It's going to be half an hour to an hour with interviews, straight to the point, clean cut, edited, excellent broadcast, and quality. Just like I put the quality into my videos when doing all this digital shit and all these videos and everything. The podcast is going to be the same way in an audio form, but easy to digest, entertaining, of course. And I'm going to make sure you get all the info that you need. It's going to be on Apple, Spotify, Google, Audible, Pandora, wherever I can blast it at. The first episodes are going to be Canelo versus Golovkin 3 previews, and now that the card is set, Usyk versus Joshua 2 preview, Spence versus Crawford. This is going to be a podcast form, different from what I'm doing on here. Spence versus Crawford, an Aussie boxing show. I forgot what the other shows are. Hold on, I got my podcast notebook here. Usyk Joshua 2, Canelo Golovkin 3, Spence versus Crawford, the death of pay-per-view, boxing media versus YouTube, and why I started a podcast. Yeah, so I'm going to release about 3 shows at once to get things started, and then I'm going to be releasing 1 to 2 shows a week. Thanks for watching. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. I am T Street Controversy with FightView360. Remember, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for the whole Showtime card tomorrow. So, all right. So tomorrow's going to be a long night. So I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Leave a like before you go.